Good afternoon, all. We are Group 1. Yes, we are Group 1, a group of Ibn Battutas. As the medieval traveler or the explorer, Ibn Battuta explored the Africa and European continents. We'll explore China and East Asia in relevant to acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, traditional medicine. Traditional medicine is defined as indigenous medicine that is used to maintain health and to prevent, diagnose and treat physical and mental illnesses. Differently from the allopathic medicine based on theories, beliefs, and experiences. In East Asian countries, we mainly focus on Japan and Korea, other than China. And especially in China, Korea, and Japan, the main therapeutic methods of traditional medicine consists of acupuncture, moxibustion, cupping, herbal medicines. In Japan, it is called as Kampo, and manual therapies such as Tuina in China and Chuna in Korea, and Anma massage and judo therapy in Japan. When considering the East Asian medicine, it is known to have originated in China about 3,000 years ago. It was introduced to Korea with Buddhism and to Japan with Chinese culture beginning in the 6th century. It has been widely used following a long history and practices in the three countries, that is China, Japan, and Korea, strongly influenced each other. Before Western culture was introduced to East Asia in 19th century, traditional medicine was the main medical system used to treat all types of diseases. And also, each country has developed unique traditional medicine systems with its own name, that is traditional Chinese medicine for China, then traditional Korean medicine for Korea, and Oriental medicine for Japan. For example, Sasang, constitutional medicine for traditional Korean medicine, and Kampo medicine of Japan have different characteristics from traditional Chinese medicine. But as we have found, according to the research articles, China and Korea has similar characteristics when considering the traditional medicine, and Japan has a different types of characteristics. Then traditional medicine has been widely used in China, Korea, and Japan, as we as I have told earlier, and Shashima, Dr. Shashima will tell or introduce the origin of these types of traditional medicines further. Shashima.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Babsara. And I'm going to tell you about the origin of the acupuncture in the ancient China and East Asia. Acupuncture is believed as one of the oldest practices of traditional Chinese medicine, and most historians believe that practice began in the China. And the evidences are the first documentation of an organized system of diagnosis and treatment for acupuncture was in the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine, Huangdi Neijing, and it was written in 100 BC. And earliest archaeological evidence of acupuncture is gold and silver needles found in the tomb of Liu Sheng, and it was also from around 100 BC. And when we consider about the spread of the acupuncture in East Asia. Korea is believed to be the first country in Asia that acupuncture spread to outside of the China. Within Korea, there is a legend that acupuncture was developed by Emperor Dangun, but it is more likely to have been brought into Korea from a Chinese colonial prefecture in 514 AD. And acupuncture use was commonplace in Korea by the 6th century. And after that, it was spread to, and after China and Korea sent medical missionaries that spread traditional Chinese medicine to Japan starting around 219 AD. And then several Korean and Chinese citizens were appointed to reorganize the medical education in Japan, and they incorporated acupuncture as part of that system. Like that, acupuncture was broadly of the origination of origin in China. And next part will be presented by Dr. Ben Devmini Benaragama, and I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Shashima. Good afternoon. I'm going to present key promoters of the acupuncture in China and East Asia. First, Emperor Huangdi, known as Yellow Emperor. He was born in around 100 BC and he was a cosmic ruler. A large number of texts were attributed as example Huangdi Neijin. It is a medical classic. Huangdi Sijing, a group of political theses. Also, he is regarded as the initiator of the Chinese culture. He died in age 113. The text he wrote, Huangdi Neijin, also called as the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. It is the first documentation of an organized system of diagnosis of treatments around BC, around 100 BC. Next key pointer is Liu Shen, Prince of Sohshan. In his tomb, gold and silver needles found. Bian Qiu, he is the earliest known Chinese physician who born in 401 BC. His real name is said to be Queen Yuren. He is considered to be the inventor of the anesthesia. He used intoxicating wine to perform double heart transplantation. Legend says he had ability to see through the body as X-ray in modern medicine. He is the author of Bian Qiu Neijin, Internal Classic of Bian Qiu. He advocated 4-step diagnosis: looking, listening, inquiring, and taking. He believed there was a single acupuncture point at the top of the one's skull. He called that as Ba Hui, point of the 100 points meeting. He died in age 91. Sun Simiao, he titled as China's King of Medicine. Those are the books he wrote. He experimented in external alchemy. He published acupuncture related diagrams and charts, established standardized method for finding acupuncture sites on people. Next, Yan Jiso, he is a doctor, excelled at acupuncture. He summarized previous studies on acupuncture and he wrote a book which represents the full development of acupuncture in China called Acupuncture Accomplishment. and Hua Shou, a Chinese physician of the mid 14th century. He used pulse and related characteristic to diagnose a patient. Wrote a systemic commentary on the section of relating to the pulse. He published Roots of the 14 meridians and their functions called Shi Si Jing Fa Hui. The Emperor Dangun, he was the emperor of Korea in 5 to 6th century AD. Korea is believed to be the first country in Asia that acupuncture spread to the outside of China. Within Korea, acupuncture was developed by Emperor Dangun. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Belani. I'm going to tell you about how acupuncture practices in China and East Asia. Acupuncture is generally originated in China. So I'm presenting, I'm Belani. Hello, can you?
So the East Asian countries, other than China, are Japan, Mongolia, North Korea, South Korea, and Taiwan. Generally, acupuncture is originated in China. In the 6th century, acupuncture and moxibustion were introduced to Korea and Japan. And then between the 8th and 10th centuries, it was arrived in Vietnam. And the nature of ancient acupuncture practice, the knowledge and skill were retained among academics, and it was everyday practiced by rural healers. And in the period of wars, the acupuncture techniques were mostly used. And the moxibustion therapy is also used for treatments. According to previous literature, theories like yin yang, 5 elements, zhang fu, meridians and collaterals, mentality and spirit, chi and blood, body fluid like 5 emotions, 6 exogenous pathogenic factors, and basic knowledge of Chinese medicine and acupuncture, moxibustion have been used for main therapeutic techniques. From the Eastern Han Dynasty to Three Kingdoms period, mentioned about the methods of acupuncture, moxibustion, fire needling, and warm needling. Some texts described about combining of acupuncture with herbal medicine. In diagnosing of disorders, it was based on observation of external signs of diseases, the interpretation of pulse, and understanding of symptoms associated with each disorder. Diagnosing methods are it's like examining eyes, tongue, lips, nose, ear, and observation of patients' hearing and disposition. And other methods are listening, asking questions about the history of disorders, and palpating points of abdomen, thorax, and channels, and taking pulse, examining the ear, and tongue diagnosis are the main methods of diagnosing of disorders. The used materials in ancient acupuncture are sharpened stones and bones. From about 6000 BCE, they have been interpreted
as instruments for acupuncture treatment. Bayan stones, they are used for external treatments. They are being known by three names like needle stone, Bayan stone, three-arrow-headed stone. Primitive period of China can be divided to Old Stone Age and New Stone Age. In New Stone Age, the Bayan stones have been made by Chinese people, and the Bayan stone needle is 4.5 chun long, and they discovered in the New Stone Age ruins in Mongolia too. Bayan stone needle is a needle that it had in one end it is oval shaped with semicircular edge used for incising boils and abscess. Other end is a pyramid shaped and square base used for bloodletting. Other than Bayan stones, some acupuncture needles were made out of bamboo trees also. From 21st century BC, bronze medical needles were introduced. This broadened the field of acupuncture practice. Indications of acupuncture. Doctors of this period treated diseases with multiple techniques. For example, famous Dr. Qin Yuren, who lived in about 5th to 4th century, treated patients by needling, moxibustion, and herbal decoction, massage, and hot compression. He rescued a critically ill prince by acupuncture, and this story went down in history. Various ancient texts describes about various diseases used acupuncture for better results. Indications like tuberculosis. Tuberculosis was treated by acupuncture moxibustion treatment, and moxibustion therapy also used for emergency measures. Acupuncture and moxibustion for children's diseases, moxibustion and acupuncture for abscess and ulcers, and acupuncture have been used to remove water from joints and in minor surgeries, bloodletting and massage also. So these are the main points that have been found about the acupuncture practiced in China and East Asia. I'm going to handing over the mic to next group member to talk about what were the key milestones. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harshani. This part is about the key milestones in the acupuncture in China and East Asia. As we all know, theory and practice of acupuncture was originated in China, and the earliest tradition of Chinese medicine, that is Shang Dynasty, which extends from 17th to 11th century BC. Their healing practices attempted to restore not only the living but also the dead, and also demons who are causing diseases in the human body could cause such things such as swellings, and the insertion of needles or stone lancets, for example, could be employed in an effort to kill or expel them. Let's move to the previous slide, and it says that needles, other than the needles, Bayan stones, sharpened stones, and long sharp bones were used for acupuncture. Those are Bayan stones and bamboo needles, especially used for particular acupuncture points for the puncturing or burning or heating or pressing by it. Let's move to the next slide. Here, let's move to the next slide. Yes, here you can see the Otzi, or the Iceman, who died in about 3300 BC. There you can see tattoo marks, which are similar to some form of stimulatory treatment that involves meridians. That is mainly similar to the chi flow of meridians now we are discussing in the present world. Here, when considering the meridians, the organs are first introduced in the Han Dynasty. That is the most influential formative period. Then the Han dynasty extends from 2nd century BC to the 2nd century AD. And it was at this time that Chinese intellectual elite first tried to categorize phenomena into a limited number of causes and effects. And also in this Han dynasty, we cannot negotiate that the text, the Ni Jing Su Wen wrote. This text is the oldest classic of Chinese medicine, introducing the theories of health and disease and the terrains of the body. Yes. Now let's move to the next slide. Yes. The earliest documentation that refers to acupuncture procedure is the Yellow Classic of Internal Medicine. In Sinhala, we call this as Kahadirajyage Vaidya Prakara. That is believed to have originated around 100 BC in China and around that time. And the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine was Huangdi Neijin, was published through some experts suggest that it could have practiced earlier. Some experts suggest that also. But historically, the discovery of acupuncture was credited to the Chinese Emperor Huangdi in 2500 BC. And he also credited with the invention of Chinese written language and agriculture. The development of acupuncture likely credited Emperor Huangdi and took place during the Neolithic period, that is 5000 BC to 6000 BC. When considering the other credited persons, those were Shennan, Fu Shi, mainly we have discussed about Huangdi earlier. And yes, acupuncture developed over the next few centuries gradually, and mainly by heat therapy and moxibustion. Yes, let's move to the next slide. Here also you can see, and also it was in the 5th century that the bronze statues with acupuncture points that we are using nowadays also. And also these bronze statues were used for teaching and examination purposes. Let's move to the next slide. Yes, between the 14th and 16th centuries, that is Ming Dynasty, during this time, the great compendium of acupuncture and moxibustion with the principles of acupuncture and the modern practices, that is also influenced. And also then the decline of acupuncture was from the 17th century on. And with the rise of Western medicine in the 20th century, acupuncture practices further fell into disrepute. Yes, then when considering the revival of acupuncture, traditional medicine of China and East Asia, China and Korea have the similar patterns of traditional systems, and then traditional medicine was practiced in dual system in China and Korea with the conventional medicine, and traditional medicine education was a 6-year training program on average for traditional Chinese doctors, and acupuncture, moxibustion, and cupping were completely insured. And in Japan, China's conventional medicine is dominant, and the traditional medicine was practiced by each healthcare worker who has received different traditional medicine education respectively, and main traditional medicine therapies were partially insured. Thank you, all of you.
Right, very good presentation. Very good presentation. I think anyone needs to ask questions? Katar prashna anand. Dr. Saman මොනවාරි කියන්න තියෙනවද?
නෑ හරි හොඳයි ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක. අර එක්කෙනෙක් කතා කළා හුවන්ග් ඩීන් ඒජින් ගැන. ඒකේ මම හිතන්නේ ඒකේ තියෙන පාර්ට්ස් දෙක ගැන කවුරුත් කතා කළේ නෑ. It has been divided to two sections. ඒක ගැන කවුරුත් හොයලා තිබුණ නැද්ද?
No, there are two sets of classical medicine book, that is Lin Shu and Su Wei. That is 70% for prevention and 30% for treatment.
ඔව් ඒක බොහොම වැදගත් කොටසක් මට ඇහුන්නේ ඒක කියනවා. හරි හොඳයි ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක හොඳයි.
Right, thank you, sir.
මම කියන්න කාලේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහනවාද මේ දැන් ගෲප් එකේ තව කටියනේ ළමයි. මම කරපු නැති කට්ටියකින් අහමුද ප්‍රශ්න? හරි මට පෙවුන පොඩි දෙයක් තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මම වෙන වෙනම කට්ටිය හදලා තියෙන ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක නේ. අපපස ටයිම් හදුවේ. තමන් කැලේ හදුවද? හදලා අන්තිමට එකතු කරා එහෙම නේ.
ඔව් සර්, එහෙම තමයි හැදුවේ පාර්ට්ස් 4කට බෙදාලා.
ආයි අරය කියනවා ආයි යාම කියනවා එහෙම පොඩි මේකක් තිබුණා. හරි ඕවරෝල් හොඳයි. ඊළඟ එක්කෙනා අපි යන්කෝ group 2 ඔය රංගා.
සර් ඉන්න මේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක සර් කාගේ අපේ ගෲප් එකේ කාට හරි ෂෙයා කරන්න කියනවද? මගේ ෆෝන් එකෙන් බෑ ඒක.
group 2 එක නැත්නම් group 3 එක කරමු එහෙනම්. group 3 කවුද ඉන්නේ?
අපි සර්.
රාජික ෂෙයා කරන්න.
සර් පේනව නේද?
open.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm Hansika from Group C, Christoph Columbus. We are here to talk about origin and spread of acupuncture in Western world. As for the introduction, as you can see, this is the map in world, and the dark blue colored one are the countries which are included in the Western world. As we all know, discovery of acupuncture was credited to the Chinese Emperor Huangdi Neijin in 2500 BC, but runs back to Shang Dynasty in 17th to 11th century BC, took place during Neolithic period 5000 to 6000 BC. Chinese medicine was first mentioned in Western world literature as early as the 13th century AD in Travelogue of William of Ribra, but Western world became aware of needling a few centuries later. By 16th century, a few stray manuals now held by Escorial in Madrid, Spain, and had reached Europe, then to USA. Later for a time, acupuncture became fairly well in parts of Europe, particularly in France and Germany, then to Australia and New Zealand. Now, in 19th century, England also saw a brief period of popularity of acupuncture. Publications extolling the practice appeared on occasion for next 20 years. I invite Dr. Udari to conduct the spread of acupuncture in Europe? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hansika. I'm Dr. Dharnesh Shankar. As you all know, we are talking about how the acupuncture spread throughout West countries. So at the first, I'll turn Europe countries. During the Middle Ages of Europe, especially from 1500 years to 1700 years, the Dutch East Indian Company followed the merchant trading in China and Japan. When they back to Europe, they brought Chinese acupuncture procedures. As a result of that, hypodermic needle was derived from Chinese acupuncture needle. The Western hypodermic needle means a medical tool which enters the skin. In French Jesuits, that means religion followers, made the acupuncture technique known to the Europe of the treatment of pain and a variety of other disorders. At the time, European... Dr. Hansika, can you
Yes.
move the slide?
Sure.
At the time, European physicians used bloodletting and purging to treat patients. Purging means cleansing method. It was then when we turn to 1670 AD years, the Jesuit missionaries were widely involved in bringing information from Asia to West. Father Placide, however, was a Christian missionary father, and he was back to France from China in 1671 and published the text Les Secrets de la Médecine des Chinos. It means Secrets of Chinese Medicine. It was considered as the first Western text which was about acupuncture. The word acupuncture also derived from Latin language. Then when we see the next slide, Dr. Louis Joseph Berlioz was the first person who practiced the acupuncture in the West. He successfully treated a young woman with abdominal pain in 1810 AD. Then he wrote a text, memo on chronic complaint, and published in 1816. And also he wrote a thesis on chronic complaints, bleeding, and acupuncture. He has described about the benefits of acupuncture through this book. He was able to induce the interest of acupuncture in French people.
Thank you, Dr. Udari. In year 1825, Dr. Chavlia was the first to use moxa with acupuncture and electrotherapy. In 1863, an important book written by The Medicine of Chinese People, published by Captain Debris. He is the Council of France who lived in China from 1857 to 1871. It is the first real book on acupuncture published in Western. In 1929, George Solidi Morand is the principal promoter of acupuncture in France since 1929. He was involved in the practice and transmission of Chinese acupuncture in France. In this period, acupuncture is practiced and taught in private schools and later developed as inter-university diplomas. This period, acupuncture accepted on French Medical Act, and he was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Physiology for his work in acupuncture. His work remains a source of inspiration of medical acupuncturists even today. In 1950, Felix Mann, he is a British physician and acupuncturist. He was practiced acupuncture medically unorthodox because he used acupuncture without knowledge of how it works.
In 1970, in his acupuncture teaching, he was based on Western acupuncture principles and also based on anatomical distribution of acupuncture points. In 1997, National Institute of Health established and which gave the pathway to various research projects. These are some books written by George Solid de Moran. The Medical Acupuncture Society in Britain was founded in 1959. Then I invite Dr. Soumya to present the part of US.
Thank you, Raisa. I am going to explain how to acupuncture is spread in USA. Let's go to the next one. In 1825, Dr. Benjamin Franklin, he is credited as being the first American medical physician to practice and document his clinical experience with acupuncture. He was introduced to acupuncture around 1825 while vacationing in France. Dr. Bache was giving a copy of Memoir sur Acupuncture, which detailed the clinical observation of acupuncture. He published the English translation of the work titled Memoir on Acupuncturation, embracing a series of cases down up under the inspection of the Julius Clocker. He set out began to perform acupuncturation experimentation on prisoners. 1826, he published the result of his experience treating prisoners with acupuncture in the North American Medical and Surgical Journal. In 1971, while acupuncture has been practiced in USA since the 1800s, it was during the 1970s that the general public became aware of its existence. However, this changed rapidly when President Nixon opened the door to Chinese medical practices with his visit to China in 1972. In 1971, U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger traveled to China to prepare for an upcoming historical state visit between Richard Nixon and Mao Zedong. In 1971, James Reston. Among those Kissinger travel part was James Reston, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist with the New York Times. While China, Reston suffered from ruptured appendix and had undergone an emergency appendectomy. The surgery went well, but Reston started to suffer post-operative pain. Reston received acupuncture and moxibustion to treat his pain. The treatment worked well and left a large impression on him. When Reston returned to the US, he wrote a short piece in the New York Times about his experience with acupuncture. This account in the Times is credited with introducing acupuncture into the American consciousness and generate a wave of interest in this foreign medical treatment. It soon caught the attention of the government. There would be rules and regulations for practicing acupuncture and other traditional Chinese medicine. In 1992, US Congress officially recognized complementary medical forms by establishing the Office of Alternative Medicine, and in 1997, in National Institute of Health published a national consensus on acupuncture. In 1998, acupuncture became the most popular complementary and alternative medicine modality with over 7,200 practitioners located in the US, and this number is projected to increase by approximately 18.8% over the next 15 years. Although currently 1 million Americans receive acupuncture treatment annually, clinical research continues to question and efficacy of acupuncture. More and more Americans turn into acupuncture as a form of medical treatment when conventional treatment fails. And the US healthcare professional must be prepared to discuss the use of such alternative treatment with their patients. Now I am invite to next participant.
I'm going to talk about the acupuncture in Australia. The history of acupuncture in Australia can be traced back to the 1850s when the first Chinese immigrants arrived and worked in gold fields of Australia. Acupuncture is now considered by the general public as one of the most popular treatment of complementary and alternative medicine. There have been 4 developmental stages of acupuncture in Australia. These are the stages. 4 stages can be seen. First one is self-management stage. From 1850s to 1960s, acupuncture was a form of unregulated healthcare. The second one, a professional development stage, 1970s to 1980s, acupuncture associations were established to promote the acupuncture profession and facilitate clinical practices. Third one, standard setting stage, 1990s. Universities and private colleges started offering acupuncture training. Acupuncture became an established modality of CAM in Australia. Fourth stage is the regulation stage. From 2000 onwards, the practice of acupuncture is subjected to mandatory registration in the state of Victoria, Australia, as stipulated by the Chinese Medicine Registration Act 2000, which was superseded by the Health Professions Registration Act 2005. I invite the next presenter to present.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hansika. I'm Dr. Bimal Shah, and I will explain about the spread of acupuncture in New Zealand. Some physiotherapists who had an interest in acupuncture began to grow from the mid-1970s, and during this time, New Zealand Director General of Health toured China, and after return, he wrote a report on his finding about acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. New Zealand physiotherapists are recorded as having practiced acupuncture as early as 1972. When a member of New Zealand Society of Physiotherapists later complained about another physiotherapist for practicing acupuncture. The ethical committee of the day could find no grounds within the rules and the ethics of society to censor the physiotherapist. So 10 years later, that same acupuncture physiotherapist was elected the inaugural president of the New Zealand Physiotherapy and Pain Modulation Association. Some physiotherapists went to Australia in 1980 to further studies of the acupuncture. Then they formed a small special group of physiotherapy acupuncturists in New Zealand. Also began the first acupuncture courses for physiotherapists in New Zealand in the same year. with the doctors and physiotherapists teaching short introductory acupuncture programs. In December 1982, the group was formalized at its inaugural meeting in Auckland. A resolution agreed upon at the meeting was to investigate the possibility of setting up a course of instruction into aspect of acupuncture and pain modulation relative to physiotherapy. In 1984, the Physiotherapy Board of New Zealand accepted acupuncture as a physiotherapy modality. The New Zealand Society of Physiotherapy further acknowledged this later that year when Physiotherapy and Pain Modulation Association was formally recognized as a special interest group of the New Zealand Society of Physiotherapy. So these are the references, and thank you.
Hello.
ඇහෙනවා කතා කරන්න අපිට ඇහෙනවා.
I'm Dr. Rukshani, and we are group 2, the group of Vasco da Gama. Our topic is acupuncture in Sri Lanka and Central Asia. Iranga, can you move the slide, please? Sri Lanka had its own holistic medicine known as Vidum Pilisu, which is influenced by the Ayurveda medicine over the centuries. The history of medicine in Sri Lanka, a well-known physician and historian C.G. Oragudu notes that the influence of other countries such as China and Portugal brought different medical and surgical techniques to Ireland. One is acupuncture. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, sir. Acupuncture is a treatment which was historically used by the Ayurveda physicians, especially in the south of the country. And this treatment is quite similar to Chinese acupuncture, which is called for piercing at the cauterization of certain parts of the human body. And this believe that the indirect influence of Chinese medicine have through the spread of Mahayana Buddhism in South and East Asia. Hello. Okay. These are some of the basic tools used for the procedure, which are now displayed at the Folk Museum in Anuradhapura. Tapering metals used for the puncturing and blunt end materials used for the cauterization of the skin. Acupuncture and moxibustion have been used in many other regions of the world since prehistoric time, and also well developed in North India and Sri Lanka before the Christian era. As complementary form of therapy, acupuncture and the moxibustion have been practiced together from prehistoric times. The modalities are closely related to the acupuncture. Moxibustion is called Vidum and Pilisum in Sri Lanka. Especially through Buddhism, Sri Lanka is believed to have inherited Ayurvedic acupuncture, Vidum and Pilisum. Vidum also called piercing with a needle or the nail. The only species of moxa, the herb, which is burnt from moxibustion heat therapy found in Sri Lanka, is believed to have been imported from India, where today 27 pieces are found. Moxa is called Nagadamani in Sanskrit, which is the botanical name was Artemisia vulgaris. Iranga, can you move the slide?
I did it.
Okay. And there's a belief that acupuncture originated in Sri Lanka before it found in China. Sri Lanka has an ancient healing tradition that goes back into the remote depth of antiquity. The earliest map of the world shows it quite clearly just off the tip of the Indian subcontinent, whereas the China was unknown in the West. The Western pharmacopoeia has traditionally contained the number of substances unique to Sri Lanka and nearby Kerala. There are few powerful myths about Sri Lanka. There is a myth that Sri Lanka was the Garden of Eden, and some other legend says this is the land of King Solomon's mine. And also, there is a little doubt that the Valley of the Gem in the stories of Sinbad, the similar sailor, also refers to SF. And Dr. Iranga will continue from here on the further details with full description.
Rukshani, can you move your slide a little bit backward? Another one more. Yeah. So, what were the facts
Yes,
that
sir.
you?
Iranga,
Rukshani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So, what were the facts that you presented to prove this specific hypothesis? There is a belief that acupuncture originated in Sri
Yes, sir.
Lanka before it found in China.
Yes, sir.
We have
Iranga will discuss the. We have, sir. Iranga will discuss in the further slides.
Okay. You can proceed.
Okay, so thank you.
So it comes as some topics like first we discuss what is the history, archaeological facts that they have found about Sri Lanka. Then it tells like that. Okay, thank you, Dr. Rukshani. When we describes about the archaeological evidences about Sri Lanka, that the acupuncture or the acupuncture started from Sri Lanka and it was later disseminated to the China. These are some archaeological facts where that Western pharmacopoeia has traditionally contained a number of substances which are unique to Sri Lanka, and also under the in the ancient Egypt, the process of mummification was done. The black peppers were used, and the China silk root and the spice root and the Roman gold coins. These evidence tells that Sri Lanka had very good relationship with the other countries. So this is the Silk Route. Sri Lanka was a major player on the world stage while China was still engaged in formative and destructive wars. And long before China emerged as a civilized nation, Sri Lanka had great kings, great art, and monumental works of irrigation and building. The archaeological investigation in several cave dwelling sites using accurate modern dating techniques have shown continuous habitation here by earliest modern Homo sapien taking place over the 3,700 years ago. Cro-Magnon man, known as the Homo sapiens sapiens, the wisest of the wise, maybe have come out of the Sri Lanka and not out of Africa at all. Known locally as the Balangoda man after the district of the same name, these were very sophisticated people. Swiss archaeologist Sarsin reported these being used acupuncture as well as the obvious tattooing and stitching instrument.
And here on, Dr. Achini will be described about the Balangoda Manaviya's cave and how the acupuncture archaeological factors were collected at there. So I'm going to invite Dr. Achini.
Thank you, Dr. Ranga. I'm going to give some evidences found in Velilena research. Professor Jayasuriya stated that according to the Mahavansha, we have an authentic recorded history covering a period of 3,000 years. According to legend, King Ravana, a king as well as a healer, ruled Sri Lanka about 10,000 years ago. King Ravana is portrayed as having 10 heads and 20 hands, with one palm of hands holding acupuncture needles. So it's a great proof to state that acupuncture was practiced in ancient Sri Lanka. The other point is the Balangoda man created geometric microlith tools fashioned into various functional shapes such as lunate, triangular, trapezoidal forms, pointed needles, and they made out of quartz, flint, and other materials. In prehistoric times, acupuncture had been practiced widely in Sri Lanka in a much broader spectrum than in China, where acupuncture was used only on humans. But in Sri Lanka, acupuncture has been used not only on humans, but also on domestic animals. As an example, acupuncture used on elephants to tame them and treat their sicknesses. And these evidences are well preserved in Ola leaves from the periods before Christ. Uh, the acupuncture needles used on elephant is known as hendua. The other point is, in Sri Lanka, acupuncture was practiced also on trees to treat plant pathology. This method is still practiced in the remote villages. So now I'm inviting Dr. Iranga to conduct this presentation furthermore. Thank you.
Thank you. As well as the earlier what was Dr. Achini was tell that under the experimental studies, they have found these small pointed bones, needle of filling, and quartz and cherts and other hard substances which were used as the acupuncture needle at there. And when it comes to the Sri Lankan history, King Buddhadasa in 3rd AD carried out a great feast of surgery on the human as well as the animal, including a brain surgery, where the Professor Jayasuriya suggested the anesthetic use was a mixture of acupuncture and the herbal opiate wine, where we known as the acuesthesia. And ancient manuscript dictate acupuncture points mapped on the human body. Fahian traveled to Sri Lanka in 410 and resided in the country of 2 years before returning to the China of merchant ship. This particular slide is explain Sri Lanka and China had a good relationship, where we can think that yes, acupuncture can be disseminated to the China from the Sri Lanka. They are the two important Buddhist texts that are Karana Mudra Sutra and Vimukti Magga were translated to China in 489 and 505 respectively. Amoha Vajra, a powerful Buddhist monk in Chinese history, traveled to Sri Lanka and was responsible for translating the Karnamudra Sutra into Chinese language, and also taking it back to the China in the 8th century. Buddhist nuns from the Sri Lanka, vice versa, traveled to China in 429 to 433. The form of martial arts known as Chainadi from Sri Lanka derives from China, influences by Shaolin monks who arrived to the island of Pilgrim and taught it to the Sinhalese people. During the Ming Emperor region. His fleet visited Sri Lanka and fought in the Ming-Kote War. And the Gala inscript dated was erected in Gaul, which tells us that the Sri Lanka to go commemorate Sheng his second visit to country and recognize the legitimacy of the Ming Emperor among the foreign rulers. And here on to tell what is the importance of the Vasco da Gama with the acupuncture in Central Asia and Sri Lanka, I'm going to invite Dr. Manuka.
Okay, now I am going to explain about the Vasco da Gama. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay. Okay, now I am going to explain about the Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese explorer and the first European to reach India by sea. What is the Vasco da Gama famous for? He was born in 1460 or 1469, Sines Alentejo, Kingdom of Portugal. Died in 14th of December 1524, Cochin in India. Vasco da Gama, best known for being the first to sail from Europe to India by rounding Africa's Cape of Good Hope. Over the courses of two voyages, beginning in 1497 and 1502, the Gama landed and traded in locals along the coast of southern Africa before reaching India on May 20th, 1498. What is the importance of his voyage? His initial voyage to India, 1497 to 1499, was the first to link Europe and Asia by an ocean route, connecting the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans, therefore the West and the Orient. This is widely considered a milestone in world history, as it marked the beginning of a sea-based phase of global multiculturalism. The Gama's discovery of the sea route to India opened the way for an age of global imperialism and enabled the Portuguese to establish a long-lasting colonial empire in Asia. This is the map of Vasco da Gama's first voyage to India. Now Dr. Iranga will continue the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manusha. Now we know that Ayurveda is the Indian medicinal system, but in Sri Lanka, Ayurveda is practiced from the ancient times, where the Indian acupuncture, or specially known as the Suchi Karma, utilized the same concept of energies, humors, elements and organs and tissues. The Ayurvedic surgery, where it is known as Shalya Tantra, is the one of the 8 recognized subjects or recorded branches of Ayurveda, where the acupuncture is come under the subcategory of this main category of Shalya Tantra, which is also known as the Suchi Karma, Suchi Chikitsa or Vedana Karma. The meaning is the needle treatment, where they have used the Marma Chikitsa, Indian acupressure, the way of acupressure, the types of massage in the body points, which is known as the Marma. So they have used this concept with this Suchi Karma technique to cure disease with the Agni Karma, or known as the moxibustion treatment. The Professor Dr. Anton Jayasuriya, instrument used in Sri Lanka for surgery and acupuncture, anesthesia above, to 2,400 years ago still exists, and in fact surgery with acupuncture anesthesia was carried out at the King Parakamabahu Hospital in Sri Lanka in 500 BC. Obviously, the close relationship between India and Sri Lanka. Yes, sorry, Pandukavya Hospital in Sri Lanka in 500 BC. Obviously, close relationship between India and Sri Lanka for thousands of years meant that these procedures were likewise carried out in India as well as in Sri Lanka. And this is a Ola manuscript, which is explained that yes, in the era of the King Pandukavya, they have performed surgery with the instrument. And it is interesting to note that the above script not only tell that the use of the acupuncture, but also the Ayurvedic pulse diagnosis system, which is used in as well as Sri Lanka and India. When it comes to the acupuncture, up to now we only discuss about the human acupuncture. When it comes to the veterinary acupuncture in Sri Lanka and India, text suggests that the animal needle is more a Eurasian development than the original Chinese veterinary traditional. Where in Sri Lanka and India have several archaeological proof that the ancient elephant acupuncture is done before 5000 BC. On veterinary acupuncture, they have dealt with the elephants about 3000 years ago, has recently been discovered in Sri Lanka, where this is a particular diagram that you can see in the elephant. Keepers control elephants by touching traditional points, which is known as the nila, which are distributed over the elephant's body, which can give a non-verbal communicating commands to these animals. We commonly known as the Hendua. They have used this instrument to control these gigantic animals. They control them non-verbally. And this is another diagram that they took it from Ola leaf, where they have shown you some peculiar points on the elephant body, which is known as acupuncture points. And here on to discuss about the Central Asia, I would like to invite Dr. Lakmali.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm telling about how to spread acupuncture to Central Asia. Central Asia is a region in Asia which stretches from the Caspian Sea in the west to China and Mongolia in the east, and from Afghanistan and Iran in the south to Russia in the north. The region consists of the former Soviet republics of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. It has the acupuncture treatment. It has spread to these countries through China. At present, this treatment is being carried out successfully in these countries, but we had a hard time finding credible evidence of the spread to these countries from China. However, the Silk Road had made a significant contribution to this. Okay, thank you.
I'm from group 3. We talked about the acupuncture and its origin in Western world. First, as for the introduction, we talked about the countries which are included in the Western world and how the books and the classification and the passing from generation to generation according to the year. And then we talked about how the acupuncture was established in Europe countries, especially French, and also in Germany, and the books that was written in that period, and some of the uh, some of the um, operations and some of the instruments were used at that time. And then we moved to USA, and how the government helped in when establishing the acupuncture in that time, and also the books in specific kind of years, and also the operations, emergency operations, especially appendectomy, was done, and how the government sponsored in upbringing the acupuncture to the world, especially President Nixon, and also the Times editor. And then we moved to Australasia. In that, we talked about Australia and New Zealand, how the acupuncture was established, and what kind of regulatory acts were established in order to fulfill their need, and how to practice the acupuncture, and also some of the organizations were started, and I think that's about it. Thank you.
Okay.
We are from the group Vasco da Gama. Our topic is acupuncture in Sri Lanka and Central Asia, where we collected some facts about that, where we can believe that the acupuncture is started initially in Sri Lanka. In that case, we presented some details about the references and some archaeological instruments that found on the ancient Sri Lankan kingdom in the procedure of acupuncture. And also then we discuss about the relationship between Sri Lanka and China, where it tells the details about that the pilgrim Fahian monk and other details. And then under the Sri Lankan history, we presented that details about the ancient Balangoda man and the archaeological fossils and instruments that they have used, such as small pointed bones and quartz and cherts and other hard substance as the needles. And of course, the Dr. Professor Anton Jaisuriya's acousticia and the details about the other archaeological evidence. Then after that, we had some details about that Ayurveda acupuncture, where especially we discussed that the both in India and Sri Lanka, they have performed this technique of acupuncture with the use of Marma Chikitsa, and of course the Moxibhakshan as Agni Karma. And then after that, we discussed the history of veterinary acupuncture in Sri Lanka and India. Under that, we presented some details about that the ancient elephant acupuncture history. And then finally, when it comes to the Central Asia, the acupuncture is spread to first to the China, then to the Central Asia. We described that. Thank you very much.
we are group 1, that is a group of Ibn Battuta. For our easiness, we divided the whole presentation into 4 parts. That is part 1 for origin of acupuncture, and then part 2 for key promoters, and the spread of acupuncture, and also the key milestones of acupuncture. We relevant this presentation for China and East Asia. And when considering the origin of acupuncture, we told that the theory and practice of acupuncture was mainly originated in China, and it was spread to other East Asian countries. That is, we focused mainly on Korea and Japan, and also we told that it was introduced to Korea with Buddhism, and also at the beginning of 6th century, and also it is spread to other countries of the world. And then when considering the key promoters of acupuncture in China and East Asia, the main key promoter we found was Emperor Huangdi, that is the Yellow Emperor. And the book he wrote was the Huangdi Neijing, that was Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine. The other credited persons we found was Shennan and Fushi. And also when considering the Huangdi Neijing, which is a main classic in the acupuncture of China and also in the modern world, we found 2 sets of classical medicine in the book, that is Lin Shu and Su Wei. And also in that book, 70% was for prevention and 30% was for the treatment. And then other key promoters was Liu Sheng, Bian Qiu, and Sun Simiao, that was the China's king of medicine, and Yang Jixiao, that was a doctor excelled at acupuncture, and Hua Shu, a Chinese physician, and also Emperor Dengui. And when we moved to the acupuncture practiced, how acupuncture was practiced in China and East Asia, the countries, the main countries we focused was, as I mentioned earlier, was China, Japan, and Korea. Mainly China, where traditional medicine, including moxibustion and acupuncture, was originated, and also the main methods of diagnosis according to that traditional medicine, that is looking, listening, asking, palpating, taking pulses, examining the ear, tongue diagnosis, and many more. And also the used materials, as we have mentioned, mainly in the past they used bean stones and bamboo needles, and then we use metal needles nowadays. And sharpened stones was also used in those days. And we mentioned about the indications also, that is the acupuncture and moxibustion treatment for mainly for tuberculosis, and for the emergency treatments, children's diseases, that means for pediatric purposes, and abscess and ulcer, and to remove water from the joints, bloodletting, massage, then anesthesia, and many more. Then we finally moved to the key milestones of acupuncture in China and East Asia. There we mainly focused on Shang Dynasty, which was the earliest tradition of Chinese medicine, and then moved to the Han Dynasty, which is the most influential formative period. And then we mentioned about the Iceman, that is Otzi, where tattoo marks could be seen, which are similar to some form of stimulatory treatment according to acupuncture, and also moxibustion treatments, and also again for the Huang Donijing book. And we mentioned about the decline of acupuncture with the rise of Western medicine, and also the revival of acupuncture nowadays. And we also compared the two treatments, that is the similarities of China and Korean traditional medicine, and also the dissimilarity of Japanese medicine, Japanese traditional medicine, according to with respect to Chinese and Korean traditional medicine. And thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to do this kind of a presentation. Thank you.